Christian McCaffrey traded last night to the San Francisco 49ers. The Niners give up a second, a third, and a fourth, and a fifth over the next 2 drafts. Okay? Officially, it's a second, third, and fourth this April, and a fifth next April, 2024. Here's my thoughts on this. The Panthers should trade him. The Panthers should move on. The Panthers should reboot. They should rebuild. After the failed Matt Rule tenure, you need to collect draft picks. You need to find a coach that wants to take over and a GM that wants to take over and give them the resources to do so. And McCaffrey, at this point, is worth more trouble than he needs to be because he's going to absorb a big cap hit for a bad football team and a franchise that's not desirable because it does not have a lot of draft picks nor a lot of young talent in that system. And so this helps get you closer to being a desirable destination this offseason for a GM and a coach. And note that I am saying a GM and a coach because I don't believe in trusting these first-time head coaches to do both. I don't believe in trusting a Matt Rule type to be your football czar. I think you need a general manager and a head coach. What the Giants did this offseason should be the blueprint. You want to bring in a hot coordinator like Brian Daboll to run the football? Fine. But you need a Joe Shane who's been an assistant GM, understood how to build a team and build a winner above him so that they can work hand in hand. Because I don't think the Giants are this good if Brian Daboll also is responsible for picking players, signing contracts, signing free agents, etc. Sean Payton, okay, different deal. Payton's done both of those jobs before and done them well. But if you want to go down the road of what so many NFL teams have done, which is hire a coordinator, a fresh face, a younger guy, which is where most of the success has happened in the NFL, not hiring college guys. It's hiring coordinators to step in and take over. Then you do what the Rams did. You have a Les Snead and a Sean McVay to work hand in hand, not the same guy. So the Panthers accomplished some of that with this trade. However, they don't get a first-round draft pick for one of the best running backs in football. And ultimately, that has to be part of this equation as well. That the Panthers invested a high pick. The Panthers invested time. The Panthers invested money. And they got one winning season out of him. One, his rookie year. A lot of injuries and a lot of understanding around the league that you can find your Christian McCaffrey as long as you wait in the draft. Look at the guys that are having great seasons this year as rookies at running back. They were drafted in the second, third, or fourth rounds. Breece Hall's been a real tremendous running back for the New York Jets, kind of a Christian McCaffrey do-all. Second-round pick. You don't need to spend a top 10, top 15 pick on a running back to get Christian McCaffrey's value. And CMC, again, is one of the best running and receiving backs in the NFL, if not the best. But even he's not worth a first-round draft pick. Injury prone, and there's not good value in taking a running back that high. So what GMs around the NFL said was, we wouldn't spend a first-rounder on a running back, so we're not trading a first-rounder for your running back. So the Panthers could only get so much. That has to be part of how you assess who you draft and running backs when you draft them moving forward. Even the very best are not worth a first-rounder after you select them. The best parallel is going to a car dealership and driving that car off the lot. It's worth $30,000 with a sticker in the window before it's been driven. The moment you drive it 2 miles to your house, it's worth half that. That's what happens with running backs. The Giants could never get a number one for Saquon Barkley if they wanted to trade him over the last couple of years. The Panthers couldn't with CMC. So it's a rude awakening. Injury problems, durability, wear and tear, value other places. You can't even get a first for Christian McCaffery. Okay, so let's talk about the Niners side of things. To me, the Christian McCaffrey deal is a very obvious sign of two things. Number one, the Niners recognizing the NFC is open. Packers are struggling. Buccaneers are struggling. Rams are struggling. The one team that's not, the Eagles. But I'm sure the Niners feel like if we got Philadelphia in January, we like our chances. But we need a weapon. And so I think the Niners say, we're good, but we're not great. And we're not great because we're not great offensively. We can be great in this NFC. Let's go for it right now. That McCaffrey changes that calculus. So that's the first thing about this deal. The second thing about this deal is for everybody that said the Niners are better off with Jimmy Garoppolo instead of Trey Lance, here's evidence to the contrary. They weren't. The Niners have George Kittle. The Niners have Deebo Samuel. The Niners have a good defense, and it's still not enough because there is a ceiling, a limitation on Jimmy G. And when you trade for Christian McCaffrey, giving up a solid bevy of picks, not a crazy, but a solid bevy of picks, a 2, a 3, and a 4 coming up next season, that's a lot for one draft. The idea is we need playmakers because we don't have one at quarterback. I don't think you need to make this deal if you have a Josh Allen, a Patrick Mahomes, a Lamar Jackson. If you have pick your dynamic QB, you don't need to spend 4 picks on a running back. But you don't. You need other guys with footballs in their hands making the plays that your quarterback can't. So it's a rude awakening for Jimmy G. He's got to get the football to guys that can make plays because he's not going to be the guy with a football in his hand to do so. The Niners sense an opening in the NFC, and the Niners know for the offense to be anything, they need more weapons that Jimmy G can spread the football to. We'll see if it works. It should help them. Is it enough? Because let's face it, watching the Niners since Jimmy G took over, it's been a slog. And Garoppolo has been a starting quarterback. And Garoppolo was a starting quarterback at an NFC Championship game just 10 months ago. But Jimmy Garoppolo was a backup quarterback coming into this season. And I think people conflate the two. The NFL was not interested in Garoppolo as a starter. Granted, he was coming off shoulder surgery. That's part of it. But even the Niners were not interested last year when Garoppolo was their starting quarterback to return to that reality. They saw backup quarterback in Jimmy Garoppolo, not starter. That's his reality. That's the Niners' reality. He's a backup. So he's Andy Dalton. He's Teddy Bridgewater. Just because he was a starter last year and because they went to an NFC Championship game does not mean he actually performs like a starting quarterback. You have to think of him like that. He's a backup. He's limited. They can only go so far with him being him, which means you have to acquire more talent to supplement what he can't do. And if McCaffrey can stay healthy, then you give yourselves a chance in an NFC where, besides the Eagles, it looks really, really, really loose out there in terms of your power teams collecting the power.